Go.
Okay, ready? Hi, I'm Mrs. Lyle. I'm Eleanor's mom. We're standing here in front of the J.J. Smith's Oil Works. It's 337 Water Street here in Warren. The thing I want to point out to you is that this is a Greek Revival style building. It was built in about 1840 and originally for the whaling industry. This is where they would store the whale oil, which is what we make, what they've made candles out of. Eventually, it was used for the oyster industry in about 1887.
Hey, Jen. Okay, that's funny.
So here we are in front of the Caleb Carr house. The reason I wanted to show you the water first was so that you understood that this was a ferry landing for the town of Warren. It connected Barrington to Warren, and this house was extremely important because this is where sailors or travelers would stop at once they landed here in Warren. This side door right here, as you can see, has some architectural elements that I wanted to point out. Segmental arch, the fan lights, and the pilasters are on the door. Originally, of course, you should know that transportation by ferry was extremely important in the 1700s. It really helped connect Warren to the rest of the state. The street we're on used to be called Ferry Landing, and at some point they renamed the street to King Street, and then of course after the Revolutionary War it was named Washington Street. At the very top of the street you'll see George Hale Library. And here we are in front of 325 Water Street. This is an old dye house, which is an old early textile mill and where they would dye the wool. If you look at the very, very top on the corner, you will see something called a corbelled cornice, which is where all of the bricks merge at the very corner there at the top of the roof. Here we are in front of 259 Water Street. This is the Hope Bank building. It was originally built as somebody's private home, and it was moved here in about 1790, and at some point became a bank. It sits really close to the Maxwell House, which was built between the years of 1752 and 1756. It is one of our oldest buildings here in Warren. As you can see, it is the oldest brick home here in Warren. Squire James Maxwell was a leading merchant and built several large houses for his daughters as wedding presents. You'll see some of these houses on the rest of the tour. If you look at the very top of the Maxwell house, you'll see a massive center chimney, which again was a way to warm the house. It has narrow windows, and those bricks were all handmade, so they're a lot thinner than an average size brick today. If you also look on the front of the building, you'll see iron tie rods, and that was a way to keep the building's front from falling in or curving, and those are on the fronts of the house right above the windows. So here we are on School Street. It was originally named Queen Street, but after the Revolutionary War, they renamed it School Street. This tiny little home is a great example of some of the older homes in this area. The things I want you to see on this home are the tiny little windows to the left of the door, the one above the door, and just the small scale of the whole property or the whole little house. The other thing was the center chimney. Look to see how the chimney is in the center of the home, and that's important because you would heat the house with that fireplace, and having it in the center of the house would mean that the heat could spread a little bit more evenly throughout it to keep everybody warm. And this is something really neat I wanted to point out as well. Instead of stop signs or lines in the road, they used to use these, which were slate rows, and you can actually see what the cobblestone streets look like. And this is right here on Washington Street.
Go. Doesn't matter. Oh.
Right? So this house was an old cooper shop built in circa 1800. We're at 20 Lyndon Street. The architectural features I want to point out are the pediment and pilasters or pilasters on the house. Those are the front, like what they look like columns on the front of the house. Something really unique about this is that the house, if you look at the front of it, is very, very flat. The boards, instead of the way they overlap, are actually placed straight up and down. So the front becomes very, very flat. And the reason they did this is a Greek revival home. They did this to make it appear as if it was a flat, like a building made of stone, but it's not. Something else, let's read out. This was originally a cooperage, which I said, which is a barrel making shop. Barrels were used to store goods on ships, which were important to Warren's maritime trade. And of course, just so you can see, we're really close to the river. So to have a barrel making shop so close to the river was quite important. The center chimney.
Go.
Hi, here we are on 15 Lyndon Street. This is Governor Lyndon House, built in 1767. The architectural features I want to point out are the central chimney, the gambrel roof, and the off-center door. If you notice, it's not straight in the center of the house. This is typical of early Warren homes. Joseph Lyndon was the governor of Rhode Island. He fled Newport during the American Revolution, and he took refuge here in Warren. This became his home.
Go. Doesn't matter. Oh.
Right? So this house was an old cooper shop built in circa 1800. We're at 20 Lyndon Street. The architectural features I want to point out are the pediment and pilasters or pilasters on the house. Those are the front, like what they look like columns on the front of the house. Something really unique about this is that the house, if you look at the front of it, is very, very flat. The boards, instead of the way they overlap, are actually placed straight up and down. So the front becomes very, very flat. And the reason they did this is a Greek revival home. They did this to make it appear as if it was a flat, like a building made of stone, but it's not. Something else, let's read out. This was originally a cooperage, which I said, which is a barrel making shop. Barrels were used to store goods on ships, which were important to Warren's maritime trade. And of course, just so you can see, we're really close to the river. So to have a barrel making shop so close to the river was quite important.
Record now.
So this is St. Mark's Church. This was built in 1829. We are at 21 Lyndon Street. And as you can see, it's very quiet here. It's a quiet part of Warren. The architectural features of this, we should note that this was created or designed by the really famous Russell Warren. He was an architect who has done several properties here in Warren and several in Bristol. The type and style of this church is a Greek revival, and it has fluted Ionic columns. Those I want you to see are the columns at the very tops, and at the tops of the columns they have these circular things, and it looks like an eye. The whole column looks like an eye. That is an Ionic column. Like the cooperage that we just saw, the front of this, the clapboards are also placed together, as my husband just told me, in a flush fashion. Flush, so it means straight up and down, so the boards don't overlap. So they look flush, or they are flush, so they look more like stone, to make it appear as if it was stone. And the original steeple was removed in 1952. The bell is in the garden to the right of the church, or used to be over there. I think the new owners have it safely stored away somewhere.